we're here at the Winter Fancy Food Show with SFA Live, and I have here a lovely couple. I'm not going to butcher your name, so please introduce yourself.
I'm Julian Erggelet, and this is my wonderful wife,
Alli Cecchini Erggelet.
So we are farmers in the Bay Area in Contra Costa County, and we farm a 30-acre fruit orchard and some row crop and a 30-acre vineyard as a business, and then we're active in the community with other nonprofit aspects to educate the community and try to see how farmers can be responsible in bringing a family farm into the 21st century. For us as millennials, that's quite a challenge, but it's a good one.
What is the biggest generational gap that exists within the family? How do you convince the older generations of what's important to the newer generations and so on?
I'd probably have to say organic farming, but I think Alli's got some good stories to say on that.
Well, the first question you asked was how do you overcome those barriers? Is that correct?
Yes.
Education. So my dad is 82. But he's an avid reader, and he's always open for reading material. So for him, it's like, for instance, we're telling him our next door neighbor just moved in, and he's a cannabis delivery driver, and he's like all up in arms, not up in arms about it, but he's scared, and he's like, what about the crime? What about all these things that are going to happen? So I brought him the city ordinance about it, and he read about it, and I brought him news articles. And so for him, understanding the root of something is a big way to overcome challenges. With my mom, it's having her figure out how it was her idea. So I think knowing each player and how to appease their instinctual nature is how we are able to overcome those barriers and those gaps.
What does the bottom line look in your farm?
That was probably the biggest challenge for us, was rethinking how to run a business sustainably in the 21st century as a family farm that's asset driven. And for us, the model that resonated the most was the concept of the triple bottom line. So basically, in accounting, the bottom line is the profits that you generate on your spreadsheet, and if it's positive, then you did well and you move on. So how can that economic sustainability, how can that be connected to a social sustainability and to an environmental sustainability, and how can all three of those be considered when evaluating a success of the business? So a business may make money but have a negative social impact, and then on the triple bottom line, it comes out negative. So how can that be quantified? It's a bit tricky. But basically, it's looking at economics, social impact, and sustainability side by side, and making all of the business decisions based on that triptych of values.
And what is the hardest part to balance?
Probably the environmental part. Trying to convince, whether it's our family members or other farmers, trying to get them to buy into this idea that planting a crop that you're not going to harvest or make money off of is worth it. So we plant cover crops, we plant California natives around our farm, but we're not making money off of any of those things. We're not harvesting and taking them to market. We're leaving them there for bees, for birds, for native insects, and soil microbes. And for us, the long-term effect is that we're going to have better soil quality. We're going to have better crop health, and that hopefully protects us in the long term, but it's taking part of your farm out of production. So I would say that's one of our biggest challenges for the triple bottom line.
Can you tell us a little bit about your youth education program?
So most of the education happens on the farm. We have a rotation style field trip, so they come and they see the composting systems, the animal systems that feed into the composting systems, how the crops are grown, rainwater collection, all of those sort of farming aspects. And then we also take the farm to different schools who can't afford, let's say, for instance, busing. So we'll take part of the farm, like chickens, goats, seeds, compost, worms, to the schools and do education there as well.
What do you see ahead for 2020? The biggest trends, biggest things in farming?
We keep a very open eye on what's happening around us. And in the food business in general, I think a lot of things are happening on a smaller and smaller level down to the molecular level. So how agriculture will interact with the synthetic biology world and the biotechnology world, for us is really interesting because we're young and we're looking ahead. So seeing what for a role will the farmer play in 25 years, that's a big question when we think of our children and grandchildren. So looking at the biotechnology sector and seeing what for a role is there for a farmer to play in waste management, bioplastics, molecular food processes. I think that's really interesting.
I can tell you what I hope happens.
Yes.
I hope that the environmental part of farming becomes even subsidized for farmers. Maybe carbon credits are given. They're able to make money off of leaving crops in the ground just to reduce that, to become carbon positive. So that's what I hope becomes the next trend, at least for policy-wise and for farmers who are trying to do good and trying to take part of their land out of production, but still be able to be viable.
Thank you so much. That's a great
Absolutely.
point. And we're here with SFA Live. We'll catch you next time.